Jess and I are gearing up for the summer season right now, and after spending our first ever spring here in Bluebird, we want to talk to you about 5 things that we have noticed in the spring that's changed from the winter. If you are new here, my name is Trey and this is my fiancée Jessica, both from Charlotte, North Carolina, and we have been living on the road full-time since January of 2024, visiting states like Texas, Arizona, and California while getting to see everything in between. Starting in the winter, we immediately drove to warmer weather in southern Texas, which wasn't really all that warm and endured a few cold snaps along the way. But now that winter has passed and we're almost into summer, the transition season, spring, has shown us a few things that we'll need to prepare for with summer coming next month. And that's starting with the obvious, which is the heat. I mean, that's the thing that is just the biggest change we've noticed so far is it's heating up, even as we're traveling up north. And with the heat increasing, that, we're using our AC a lot more what we anticipated, I would say, so far. And another thing would be our propane usage is going down a lot. Like I mentioned in the previous videos that in the winter, our propane would last us about 2 to 3 weeks per tank, and we have 2 30-pound propane tanks. But now it's lasting us about anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. So we're getting about an extra week or 2 out of our propane tanks. And another thing we've noticed is since it's heating up is that it is dark in our RV from 1 p.m. to about 4 p.m. And that's because we're having all the shades closed. I mean, we look like a bunch of vampires in here. You are a professional vampire.
That is true. I do like staying in the dark a good bit. But I am getting over a cold, so I sound a little nasally. Apologies. But another thing that we have noticed is just with the spring and warmer weather, bugs are coming out. I am a huge fan of the fall, primarily because there are no bugs. That's when I don't know if they hibernate, if they just all decide to, collectively leave and go who knows where, but I am very happy.
That needs to be studied for sure. Why that happens.
I don't know exactly why or where they go. Do they just all die off and then they all just I don't know.
Spawn again.
Respawn whenever the spring comes up. But we've just noticed, just multiple spiders that have somehow wound up inside of the RV. Not as many as we thought that there would be, just overall bugs, but I am very much kill on sight. As soon as I see it,
If you've ever seen the movie 8-Legged Freaks, that's kind of what I thought it was going to look like during the spring and summer.
You're just dramatic.
I thought it was going to be bad, but...
Not that bad.
Of the slides that we've come to notice, they have like a double, little strip on the sides where it kind of keeps everything out. I thought it was only a single, so I think that's helping keeping everything out as well.
Yeah, I mean, and the occasional fly, gnat, whenever we come in, and typically I say we, it's him, whenever he doesn't shut the door as quickly as he should, some may fly in. Like the other day, there was a wasp that flew in, and I have never been stung before in my life, and I will refuse to allow any to sting me here moving forward. I need something to knock on for luck, but one was able to swoop on in, and he had to kill it because those are that I run. I don't even give it a chance to try to sting me. But not many that we first anticipated, not many bugs as we anticipated, but it's something that we do keep an eye out for. Bugs are a hard no for me. So, whenever I'm cooking, I just make sure we eat, I wash the dishes, make sure that I clean up really well, make sure to wipe down the counters just multiple times a day. We sweep multiple times a day. We used to have a little robo-vac that I miss very dearly.
That was back in our apartment.
Back in our apartment days, when we had enough space for the robo-vac to actually do its thing. Here, unfortunately, had to give it away as a gift. I know Ashley's loving that thing, but we just sweep multiple times a day. We have our own little vacuum to pick up after, but none so far. I can't really complain, but it's still early, so TBD.
And the third thing that we've noticed is that everybody heads north for the summer season. It is just a thing that everybody does because the desert spots are getting way too hot right now. And all the campgrounds that are usually closed during the winter, which are in higher elevations or further up north, they're starting to open back up again. And heading north gives us a chance to escape the heat. For example, next week we head to Oregon, and I already checked the weather, and it's supposed to be in the high 50s and low 60s and raining. So that's gonna be good weather, especially for the dogs, because you see cold nature dogs. And the desert, it was warm in the winter, like some spots in Big Bend down in Texas. I mean, we went on a hike in the national park, and we could just, well, we had a tank top and some short sleeves on.
Yeah. We drank a lot of water. I mean, even when we went to Death Valley, it was still pretty chilly, like at night. And it's still like, we hadn't even hit spring yet. And we were just, like, we had, how many canisters of water? We had 4? 4, right? Yeah, you thought there were 3 and you were gonna give me your last sip. That was so sweet. But
yeah, remember that.
but we drank all 4 canisters, like completely dry. And I mean, we've never been to Death Valley before. We don't know if that's like the typical norm, if that's the typical weather there, but it was very hot. We were dripping sweat. It was a great hike, beautiful. Yeah. Would love to do it again, but it was just very hot. It was one of the reasons why I told you that I really wanted to kind of tread lightly when it came to backpacking, because whenever it starts to get warmer, there's not that many water sources out there. So it's just something that we'd have to really keep an eye out for and make sure that we ration out our water. And I am I need to bring water everywhere I go. So I drink tons and tons of water. I'm a very hydrated girl.
Yeah, so the desert is just simply way too hot to be spending a summer in our opinion. You'd be running your ACs day and night all the time, trying to escape that heat, and that just wouldn't, your AC, your central air conditioning would just run out of juice in like 2 years, I feel like. So to help ease up the load on your RV, we're gonna head up north. And the higher elevation areas are starting to become more accessible, so that's another reason everybody's heading up north for the summer season. And the fourth thing that I've noticed in the spring season is that campgrounds start to fill up a lot faster.
Oh yeah, I mean, when we try to get a reservation in, we only have like the basic tier for the 1,000 Trails membership that we have. And trying to get out a reservation has just been extremely tough. Like, we have to make sure, because we can only do it for what, like 60 days? And so we're literally to the week making sure, like, well in advance to try to make out the reservation or try to land a reservation. And it's just been so difficult. A lot of these spots that we've been trying to reserve are already taken up, or, we only have like a few days available for the actual 2 weeks that we're trying to get.
And that's mainly due to the weekenders and the extended stay folks who are getting their season started in the spring. We've seen a lot of that already, especially this weekend. We're here at Lake of Springs 1,000 Trails membership.
1,000 Trails, yeah.
Yeah, we're 1,000 Trails Lake of the Springs, and it's our first time here, and it's a beautiful spot. But however, side note, be aware that not everything is full hookup, like including sewage. You're gonna have your water in 30 amps, of course, but some spots do, or most spots don't have sewage. So we looked up and was able to snag one yesterday, which was very nice, because we do laundry in here, and that takes up a lot of water. And due to that fact of, the weekenders and the extended stayers getting on the road now, we've had to keep a very close eye on our schedule, and as soon as dates become available for us to reserve, we just go ahead and reserve it. So we can kind of mitigate the out-of-pocket costs, because if we get to a spot to where we can't find anything and we want to be there, we have to come out of, we have to choose Hipcamp, which is a lovely app. We'll talk more about that later at the end of this video about why we love it. But for the most part, campgrounds are typically empty during the week. It's just usually the weekenders who are coming in so far. It'll fill up on a Thursday or Friday night all the way through Sunday, and then on Sunday everybody's heading back out and going out. So if you come in the middle, if you're a full-timer or you're about to become a full-timer, and if you can arrive during the middle of the week, that's probably your best chances of getting a spot that you want. Do you feel like you spend more or less time outdoors or outside in the spring or the winter?
Ooh, good question. I feel like that could be very subjective, because I am by nature, my favorite season is the fall. And I just feel like I can spend all day outside. Now, you said the spring, right? The spring and winter. Which one would you say you've spent more time outdoors with? Oh, spring and winter. Oh, well, spring hands down, because winter would be freezing. I mean, depending on where you're at too. But we've had a lot of snow days here, and I can manage to last When we went to Bryce Canyon, we hiked in the snow, and that was almost an all-day event, and that was fun, but you have to go prepared and make sure you have your jackets and all of that. But I think I would probably still pick the spring in spite of the bugs.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, I am soaking up the sun. I can go down to the lake and, you know, take a swim. Not right now, I'm sick, but whenever I get better, I've been really wanting to get better here soon so that I could go take a dip. But yeah, I feel like there are a lot more activities that you can enjoy in the spring. Not to say that there aren't any activities to enjoy in the winter, but I feel I would spend a lot more time outside in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I feel like I've spent more time out in the spring, and I feel like it's location based as well. So when we spent winter in Texas and part of Arizona, and then it kind of transitioned into the spring and while we were in Arizona and then came out to California.
Mm-hmm.
So I think honestly kind of equal, because we had Big Bend in Texas, we had Zion, Bryce Canyon, which was technically spring, but it was still snowy in Bryce Canyon when we went.
Well, I mean, there was still plenty of snow. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was
Northern
covered in
Arizona,
snow.
southern Utah, that's the spot to be.
Yeah.
Around the winter, late winter, early
I
springtime.
mean, it was gorgeous, but I would still count that as still like winter.
Mm-hmm.
Because when in Big Bend, like, it wasn't like, yeah, season like month-wise, yes, it's still winter, but it was hot, like it was warm in Texas. So I feel like you said, it just depends on where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in places, so like when we went to Bryce Canyon, it was covered in snow, and when we were in Sonoita, we had a snow day. And do you remember how many inches fell? It was a
Maybe
good,
like
good bit
2 or
of-
3. And so far we have enjoyed spring. I mean, we've gotten to see Zion, we've gotten to see Death Valley, we've gotten to see Yosemite, and we get to go to Mount Hood next week, which can't wait to share that with you guys. Bugs, heat, and crowds is what you're gonna expect when you spend your life at spots that others consider a vacation. And when you first get started, you may be wondering, is there a way that you can avoid the crowds? Because when you think of camping, you don't think it's, you know, sardine can to the next RV. You think of being out in the wild by yourself and kind of just living the very off-the-grid lifestyle. And yes, there is a way, I would say. It is gonna come with a certain price, unless you just plan on boondocking on BLM lands out in the Southwest. But if you want to go anywhere else and you're looking for a spot that's more secluded, I would say Hipcamp is the way to go. And it's not sponsored by Hipcamp. I don't even think Hipcamp knows of us outside of us just being a member.
But we love you.
Yeah, but we love you, Hipcamp. If you want to sponsor a video, we will work with you if you happen to see this by chance. And so Hipcamp, what it is it's, if you've heard of Harvest Host, it's very similar to that, where it's a bunch of landowners, maybe farmers who have their own land, and they have anywhere from, you know, just a 30 amp hookup with water, or if you need the full 50 amps sewage and water connection, they have that for you as well. And it can range anywhere from $16 a night, what we found in Arizona for an entire 35-day stay, or it can be as high as, you know, anywhere from 60 to 100 bucks a night. It all depends, but the good thing about this is you're gonna have more solitude by yourself, and we've been in spots to where it's just us, or up to max maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 other RVs, but it's not like a big KOA or a big 1,000 trails to where you're gonna be starting next to the next RV.
Yeah, think of like Airbnb, but for RVs.
Oh no, they're very nice. So I would leave that with you. It's called Hipcamp. It's all one word. I'll leave a link down in the description for it so you can view it out as well. And Jess and I both hope that these insights have helped you in your preparation or just getting ready for your upcoming travels whenever you hit the road. And if you need more RV living vids in your life, feel free to give us a subscribe to the channel, because we release a new video every single Sunday. And thank you for being the best part of this channel, and we will see you in the next adventure as we head up north to Oregon for our first time ever, and we're gonna see Mount Hood. We'll catch you next week.